Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's Sunday evening, which means it's time to wrap up what's been quite a busy week for Celtic, all things considered. We welcomed Benjamin Maeda into the club as the third signing of the summer window, and if reports are to be believed, then the fourth signing will arrive this coming week. So let's wrap up the last week behind us. Let's preview the week coming up ahead, a few things to tie up. I'm hoping for a hectic one, to say the least. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. We're back in business now, fully in the swing of things. Hopefully the month of July will present some amount of nonsense. And if you want to keep up with it all, you know what to do. Hit those buttons. We're going to start with that story that came out this morning suggesting that Celtic are equipped and ready to make their fourth signing of the summer window, which takes us over to Japan, a place we've got quite familiar with in recent years. So reports in Japan suggest that Celtic are set to complete the signing of Hayato Inamura over the next week. Those were the sorts of headlines coming out of Japan over the past day. Nagata rookie Inamura set to transfer to the prestigious Celtic, leaving to go overseas after just 6 months as a pro. He will play his last game against Maeda on the 29th of June. That has now happened. Hayato Inamura has played his last game for his current club, and the article goes on to say that this week he will complete his move to Celtic. These were the sorts of things said by Sponichi Annex, who we have quoted before a number of times when it comes to signing Japanese players. Said that by the 28th of June it was decided that the Nagata University graduate rookie defender Inamura would transfer to the Scottish First Division club Celtic. According to multiple sources, the clubs have reached an agreement in principle, and an official announcement is expected next week. The home game against Maeda on the 29th will be his last game for his current club. He is expected to travel to Europe early next week and officially sign after undergoing a medical check. And the centre-back, known for his accurate left foot kicks, will be heading overseas after only 6 months as a professional footballer. So the next signing coming in for Celtic, one that we've spoke about for over a week now. It was said that Celtic were highly interested just before I jetted off on holiday, and it's been tied up pretty quickly with the medical booked in for the next couple of days. As I've mentioned, he's played his last game for his current club, which isn't one that he'll be wanting to remember. Because in his last game for Alberix and Nagata, they suffered a 4-0 defeat at home to Maeda Zelvia yesterday afternoon in Japan time. So, yeah, not a great end. 4 goals conceded for the centre-back and his team. But as a club who are fighting for survival at this moment in time, sitting 19th in the J1, it was never going to be an easy game in the first place. 6 months as a professional, very early into his career. For a very low fee, we'll be signing him. I can't imagine this is one of the big signings of the summer window for Celtic and more of a project player for the future. He's only played 36 games for Alberix Nagata since debuting in 2024, and there's nothing wrong with that. A young lad who only graduated from university not too long ago. There's nothing wrong with Celtic future-proofing and looking for stars of the future. I know people say, oh, well, he's 23 years of age, he's a wee bit older. That's the sort of age you want to be bringing players into the Celtic first team. Yeah, of course. But you've got to remember that football works very differently in Japan. They've got to go through the whole collegiate university system before they graduate into their senior professional side. It's not the same as it is over here. And this is a guy that's going to come in with plans for the future rather than somebody, I think, who's been brought in to partner Cameron Carter-Vickers next season. So don't get your knickers in a twist about it. Don't. It's not anything that's going to be defining of this summer window. Celtic are still allowed to do this sort of business as long as they're doing their main business, as long as they're signing players to improve the first team. Both of them can go hand in hand, so don't get all up in some mess in your head just because Celtic are signing somebody with very little experience for a very little fee. This will probably be somewhere in the region, from what we're hearing, from what I've heard, in the region of 500,000 to £1 million. It's quite clear to me that this isn't somebody who's coming in to start games for Celtic instantly. It's somebody who's going to be there with a plan for the future. Sometimes projects work, sometimes they don't, but every player at any cost, at any age, comes with some form of risk, and there is nothing wrong with that, just as long as we go and sign another centre-half, please. So in summary, a deal has been agreed in principle. He will be flying to Glasgow in the next few days to get that medical completed, and an official announcement is expected of Celtic by the end of the week. He should become Celtic's 4th signing of the summer window, and I'm hoping that his won over time will show his worth and prove doubters wrong. Like every player that comes to Celtic, I hope to see the absolute best out of them. So I think it's one that will take a year or two, definitely, but as long as we're developing, as long as we're bringing him in because the scouts have suggested he's the right kind of player. Hey, listen, we've had good luck from Japan over the last few years, and hopefully that will be the case again. But Hayato Inamura will be Celtic's next signing in this summer window. Okay, a couple of stories about outgoings to wrap up today's video and to wrap up the week here on the channel. A couple of days ago, you remember we spoke about Johnny Kenny and the rejected bid from Bolton Wanderers that Celtic saw. We knocked back a £500,000 bid from the English side, and it was quoted that Celtic are in no rush to sell him. However, there has now been a price tag named on Johnny Kenny, and that seems to be around £1 million. This was an article in the tabloids over the past couple of days saying that Celtic want at least £1 million for striker Johnny Kenny as Bolton try to land the goal scorer. He will be allowed to go if the price is right and if Brendan Rodgers finds a replacement. So the £500,000 offer needs to be doubled before Celtic even consider letting him go. The interesting line in that article is that if Brendan Rodgers finds a replacement. So to me that suggests that Celtic still are firmly in the market for a striker. There's been a lot of dialogue around whether or not Maeda will just continue as a striker and we'll go with Maeda, Ida and Kenny for the season. Of course, we're still waiting on Callum Osmond as well, who you would expect maybe to be the replacement for Kenny. But it still leaves question marks in the air, nonetheless. I still think there is a striker to come in alongside these wingers and alongside Callum Osmond, I really do, but we'll soon see. I think that we will see Johnny Kenny leave in some capacity nonetheless, whether it is for £1 million, whether it's on a loan later in the window. He's someone who's ultimately not going to see a lot of football this season, and for his own benefit, he should be allowed to go on and kick on, play football. But £1 million is the price tag on him right now. You'll also remember that a couple of days ago we spoke about this Fabrizio Romano tweet. He reported that Braga in Portugal had sent a bid over worth €2 million for Gustav Lagerbielke. He reported that negotiations were ongoing. Now, that was on Friday afternoon. Well, this morning reports in Portugal have reinforced that story, and they said that the bid has been submitted and talks are going well. So the proposal of €2 million does stand true. Negotiations are currently underway with Celtic, but Abola in Portugal knows that negotiations with Celtic are underway, and if they come to fruition, he will have a 3 or 4 year contract waiting for him in Braga. So it looks basically set that Gustav Lagerbielke is leaving to go to Braga as long as personal terms are agreed. It's €2 million coming into the club, about £1.5 million. Decent money for somebody who barely kicked a ball for us. Yes, Celtic are losing money in terms of the entire deal when we signed him for £3.5 million, but you know, we've got to make something back, and that's exactly what's happening here. So it looks as though that move to Braga could be finalised this week as well. And final story for today. I feel somewhat responsible about this, so I apologise in advance. We're going to talk about Daisen Maeda very, very quickly. Now, a couple of nights ago on my live stream, I said that all things have gone sort of quiet with Maeda, and that was a good thing. I said it's nice to see him, you know, just focused at Celtic, staying here with Celtic, and with no teams floating around his name. Well, yesterday, reports suggested that Brentford in the Premier League are eyeing up Daisen Maeda as a potential option for them this summer. He's been linked with a move there, and that is something that seems to be picking up a wee bit of steam today, but not enough to make me worried. Look, I've said this a million times. Daisen Maeda is that good and had that good a season that ultimately his name will be at the forefront of numbers of reports, and being linked with so many moves away from Celtic. You've just got to take it as part and parcel with a player performing well at Celtic. But there's not enough here to make me get really, worried. So I wouldn't get too bogged down by these sorts of headlines so far. But it does make sense, I'm not going to lie. These were the quotes in the Sportiva article that said that the addition of Maeda is part of the quote-unquote big changes heading into the new season after, of course, Thomas Frank left the club, and it's claimed that they could take immediate action and submit an offer, but the valuation of the player will be carefully considered before an offer is made. Now, I'm assuming that means that maybe the valuation of Maeda is a bit too high for them. We're hearing Celtic could want, £20 million, which is more than fair. If they don't want to give us it, we'll keep him happily. But maybe that's what's maybe stopping the immediate action from taking place. But he seems like a Brentford player, just the way they've played football these last few years, the wingers they've had at the club, the pace that they have on their side. Maeda would be a sort of perfect fit for them. That is not me advocating for the move of Maeda to Brentford. I'm just saying that this does make sense from a tactical, a technical point of view. But we'll wait and see if anything else comes from it. They've got a lot of work to do down there. And Celtic, hey, listen, they've got a huge contract on Maeda. They've got a price tag which is only fair on our behalf. The cards are in our place. That we have all the cards. So we'll wait and see if anything comes from it. But I'm hoping that nothing does. Right, that does it for today. We are wrapping up the week with some brief updates, hopefully starting tomorrow and starting July 1st in particular. On Tuesday, the ball gets rolling and we'll be here every single day through July to keep you up to date. Like and subscribe, take care of yourself, enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and I'll see you all next time.